Hey guys, Stealth here. In this video we're looking at FuturePro again. If you remember him from the game that I called Learning from the Best, that was him. It was also Austrian Oak who was in there, and they are now fighting against Pinpim and Chef and Kiki Jizuye. He mentioned in the description of this game that one of these guys, and I think that's the general, is ranked second in the ranked games for Wargame. So these guys are extremely good, and I'm eager to see what we can learn from them. He says that they are using a Blue Dragon's deck, so that's FuturePro, and Austrian Oak is using a standard USA deck, which is unspec'd, so it's a general deck. The other side starts with a Red Dragon motorized and an East block general, so they got quite a bit of variety of units. And I'm just going to keep this in a general perspective. I want to see everything that's going on in the battlefield to try and comment that way. And I hope you guys can give me feedback on that. If you like this style better than having me follow just one player, or if you like me watching the entire battlefield like it is now. The gameplay is conquest, so it's important that they capture these terrains quickly. And it does remind me of the match that I was in earlier. A couple days back I did a match here where I was completely overwhelmed in this area as I was operating my Norwegian motorized. So I'm hoping that the same is not going to happen to them. FuturePro also wrote that at the beginning of the game they already had a feeling they were going to go double mid. So they're going to go into Echo very quickly with fast transports, so we were prepared for it. Correction, that the enemy was going to go double mid, so that they were going to, the enemy, I'm going to call them Pinpin and Kiki, that they were going to go to Lima, capture that terrain quickly with helicopters or fast vehicles, and they were prepared for it. So they were prepared in the sense that they had napalm planes at the ready, and at the same time they're going to push the right side together. So this is probably going to be their main area of assault. Now none of these bridges on either side, this is a difficult area to push up through, and so is this. You got a lot of cover here for both sides, but if you want to push from the north towards the south, you're going to have to cross this bridge or come across with amphibious vehicles, whereas you can take constant fire from vehicles in here, ATGM infantry, standard infantry, recoilless rifles would even be appropriate at this range, fire support vehicles, napalm tanks, the whole range is available at this kind of location. He says that's FuturePro. I also had some pretty good fighting at the blue armor, the one with the grenade launcher on it. So that's the Nanayon Shiki G. Really deadly, and I hope you like it. He also said, P.S. we did make some mistakes, but mostly because my girlfriend called me when I was playing. So the girlfriend distraction is always a problem. Every now and then I have this problem as well, so I know exactly what that's like. Anyway, I'm gonna skip this up a little bit until we actually get to the main battle. They're taking their sweet time to deploy their units. Okay, so top right is Kiki. Top left, correction. They're both here. Kiki's top right with his units, and left side is Pinpim, who went without a fob. They decided to go with a fob on the right flank and a fob on the left flank, so they got about 75 points less than the enemy. That could be significant, but I'm not too sure yet. It depends really much on the kind of setup you're using. You're going to see that, as they had predicted, there is a major push going on into the middle. You got BTR 80s, ZSL 56 with infantry. They even brought in cargo trucks right away. Probably to resupply those HQ-7s, which only carry 8 AA missiles. An enormous selection of vehicles here. ATS-103 fire supports, PTZ tank destroyers, Type 63 recons, napalm tank, even some Shilka AA. Mortars are here. And over here on the right flank, Future is engaging the Specialny Jednotki with a large amount of Haybunes. So this is going to turn into quite the battle. He has a lot of fire support from these tanks. They are pushing up in a very nice and orderly fashion, I gotta say that for him. Those are Austrian tanks, by the way. Or Oak's tanks, I'm gonna call him Oak from now on. And the Nanayon Shiki-Gs are going to fire support these guys. This is a very good setup. Nanayon Shiki-Gs don't have a lot of armor, only 8, but they do get a great range, great accuracy, and great rate of fire. Abrams get a lot of armor, so you want these Abrams to take the hits and these Nanayon Shiki-Gs to start firing. And that's exactly what's going on. And this Twardy is not having a good day. It's going to get bombarded and probably, yeah, it took extreme damage from that bombing run of the F1. Almost killing the tank, but not quite. But it is stunned, so hopefully they can close in and finally deliver the deadly blow to it. There you go, the Smalls took it out. So they did a great job pushing onto the right side, but in the meanwhile, they are suffering in the middle. It looks like they deployed quite a bit of napalm here. And in the meanwhile, they're being overrun by Legions, Zanshis, HQ7s over here, which have been wounded. The Elevate scout took out one of them. And over here, we got a large amount of vehicles, which I think are going the wrong way. Because if Bluefor were to push up onto these tanks, or onto these vehicles with all their tanks, they have a decent chance of taking a large amount of them out. Now, a very heavy weapon hit here, and I'm thinking that that was a B5. They got away with that, because Bluefor does not have a lot of AA, it was lagging a bit behind. B-host, some closed arrows, and now this is going to turn into quite the gunfight. Shilkas are engaging the Hebyungs. Hebyungs are taking cover. Napalm tanks try to burn out the Hebyungs. Not quite getting in range. And it's almost as if Redfor didn't know what Bluefor had in here. You can see that some of these tanks are not coming along. Some of them are destroyed. The M1A1's taken quite a bit of heavy hitting. I think that the other M1A1 that I saw here got destroyed. So it's not that safe for them to start pushing onto this red blob either. Over here they gotta start to counter this, otherwise it's going to be a major problem here. He is countering with some combats, which are extremely capable against Legions, since Legions don't usually carry napalm, or sorry, carry RPGs, except when they're standard Legions, which is exactly what Pinpin brought here. So these guys can engage vehicles, and you saw that the combat from Oak took a big hit and almost lost all of its health. You don't want to get these guys to close in. If they do, the Legions have the advantage. They're in cover, they're going to have probably better recon than the combats themselves, and they will kill the combats before the Legions get killed. Score-wise, Redfor is leading by +2, and they already scored 122 points at this stage. They got quite a few zones under their control, but not as many as you might think. Bluefor's only missing Charlie. And I'm thinking that this area got hit, but I'm not entirely sure by what. I do think that they had this area under control at some point. And it seems that Redfor is now also losing a unit. They also lost control of a zone, because suddenly Bluefor is no longer losing points to them. KF-16 Block 52D coming in, also a seed plane / Ashbury fighter, but no radar guided AA in here, not even the Shilkas. So this seed plane is not going to tackle anything here, and instead he's trying, and this is Future, to kill a couple of those Commandosis off with the grenade launchers and the main guns, which are mounted on those Nanayon Shiki-Gs. Very capable of killing infantry, and they disposed, I think, fast enough for them not to get hit once. I think the Commandosis only got one shot off. An F1 came in, but I'm not sure if it dropped a bomb at them. More Commandosis coming in from Kiki, getting destroyed by the Nanayon Shikis, and Austrian has one LVTP up here. What you'd really like to do here, and that's because I can see everything, I can tell exactly what you need here, of course, it's too easy for me. Pushing into this forest right now for Bluefor is hard. Pushing out of the forest for Redfor is hard as well, because they don't really have any long range stuff. Bluefor has long range stuff, but they can't exactly use it, because they don't have the infantry to follow through. Although you could say that with a couple of Hebyungs, you might be able to push through a little bit. At any rate, Bluefor has captured Charlie again. They're not even trying to get this thing into cover. because if you play it well, you don't need to get this thing into cover, although it is safer. So I think that Austrian Oak just put the CV down here as soon as possible in order to get some points. And that's what they're doing. The reason for that is that they captured Bravo, so they have one more zone than Redfor does. I don't think that's going to last too long though. As you can see, that Pinpim also brought in a new CV and is going to capture Mike. So it's going to be a standoff again, with Redfor in the lead. Oak is using a couple of M113A3s, probably as force recon, just pushing the contact, seeing where the weaknesses in the enemy lines are. If you're not getting attacked, you can just push up. Or, seeing as he's holding them here, they might be used as tripwire defenses. They don't exactly have good optics, poor optics rather, and with that they're not going to spot anything until it's right on top of them. But you can use them, and they might be able to do something here. On the right flank, FuturePro is pushing up with the KM900s, trying to get some shots in the infantry, but the ATS just saved their own infantry. And Bluefor is pushing in with a Phantom 2, deploying a large amount of napalm here. Unfortunately, the LSTRs just made it out. Now it seems that all of those Nanion Shiki-G with the grenade launchers got killed, and that is allowing those LSTR 40s to push up through here. The Hebyungs should be able to take care of that, since they got a machine gun as well, and support from an Abrams M1A1. These guys don't have a machine gun. They are very good all-round infantry with AA and AT capability, but they cannot exactly engage infantry that well. Especially when they're being bombarded by a tank like this. Let's have a look at the middle again. It seems to be pretty much a standoff here. There's nothing going on. The main fighting for now is going over this area. And it seems that Kiki is trying to force a breakthrough here by firing a Smirch or a Smirch-like vehicle at it. Cluster MLRS, it's not as high-end as the Smirch itself, but it does do quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, I don't think that he's doing that much to these tanks. They've taken some damage, some morale damage as well. But otherwise, they have not been destroyed, and that's really what the goal of Kiki was probably. Now they have a decent position here, FuturePro and Oak. I gotta compliment these guys on their coordination. They are doing everything in perfect tandem. I haven't actually seen anything that I would point out as saying, well, you could have done that better. It's just a very enjoyable game to watch so far. Redfor is bringing in a CV here, and I think that CV is going to try to make it towards this area of forestation and then neutralize the advantage that Bluefor has, because Bluefor now also captured Delta. Redfor is scouting this side with a couple of motor shoots and T-55s, and surprisingly this Cobra makes it through almost all the way to Oscar unchallenged. Pinpim saw that, and I'm thinking that these Strops are going to go at the Cobra, trying to shoot it down. Yep, this Strop's in range. That Cobra is not going to live for too long. There goes the Cobra. Very unfortunate, because if they could have neutralized two zones, that would have given them a major advantage, as well as neutralize their spawn point here. This CV is surprisingly not in cover. It's just behind the tree line, so they might be able to spot that. The problem is they don't exactly have any reconnaissance nearby, so Bluefor cannot engage this thing just yet, but they might guess where it is. It's a little far-fetched, because this area has quite a bit of cover, but they might just be able to find it. Over here it seems that Future forgot that he brought in some more Kyotokus with some more infantry. They're not being offloaded. Same for the Humvees with, I think, Smalls from Oak. But the fight that these guys are putting up is very well orchestrated. Both sides, I must say. KF-16 is doing an overhead salvo again, or overhead flyby, trying to get a target, but nothing over here is radar guided except for the Tunguska, and that thing has its weapons turned off, at least the main gun, which is radar guided. So the only thing that could fire here are the 9 M311s, which are not engaging at the moment. So they might be assuming that AA is clear, and that is exactly when this thing opens up, of course. So a napalm comes in, and this zone has not been captured because both teams now have a command vehicle in here. They did do some damage to the Twardy, I think, but not that much. And it seems that these ATS-103s are slowly burning up to the napalm. Middle of the field, not that much going on. Left flank is just dead quiet. Bluefor rarely or barely has any units here. This looks like a standoff as well, as so far as these things can see each other. At least with these AH-1Js, he's making sure that they cannot capture this area, Redfor. Bluefor deploying another command in the form of a command infantry, and that should put their advantage to +4. Or actually +3, since this is only a +1 command zone. There you go, they're now at +3. And they have actually overtaken Redfor in the amount of points that they've got. They are now at 157 or 160 by now, versus Redfor's 124. KF-16 managed to fire off one harm, so one seed missile, but I'm not sure if it hit anything. That Tunguska is no longer alive, but I'm not sure if it was the seedplane that took that out. This match is not over though. We still have 14 minutes to go, and in those 14 minutes a lot can change. For example, this MiG might just be able to take down the infantry and then the command infantry. Seedplane took down a BHO. Might get a revenge shot on that with closed arrow, but I doubt they're going to be able to kill it. Because this ECM on this thing is pretty good. And the range on the closed arrow is only 1960 meters versus airplanes. Redfor seems to be gearing up for another push, judging by the amount of vehicles that they have in here. A couple of ATS-103s coming up, as well as PTZs, and it seems that PinPim is using a lot of these vehicles. It's just a fire support unit, and with them they are extremely capable of suppressing or supporting just almost anything. With these units you don't have a lot of armor. You only get 5 armor on the front, and with the ATS-103 you only get 2. But they do have a good rate of fire of 10 rounds a minute, and they can do quite a bit of damage, especially cost-effective damage for the points that they cost you. LAVs firing at the Formosas, immediately getting returned at by a BM-27 up there. Unfortunately for them, Redfor, no kills here. So Austrian or Oak moved right outside the range of those, opened fire again, and by this time this thing is out of ammo. So the threat so far is done, and it seems that Bluefor has a pretty good idea of where the enemy CV is, and they are engaging it. Of course, it's pretty hard for Redfor to get a CV in here. The only viable location is this forest or this tree line, but that's too close to Bluefor. This area also already got mortared. If there would have been command infantry in there, they would have neutralized that. And by forcing this CV to leave the zone, they are now at a +4 advantage. So they're doing extremely well here. They're pushing up with a couple of M1IP, one M1IP and one M1A1. It seems that that Oak's just trying to push right into that forest. PTZ, only a 65-point tank destroyer, took out one of those M1IPs for 75 points. So this thing was already cost effective by now. And Redfor brought their CV right back to the edge of the cap zone, and they neutralized the advantage. Also, it seems that Bluefor over here has lost their command infantry, setting them back to a +2 instead of a +3. A couple of Chumats here, getting rearmed by a Hemet truck. I'm not sure what this Hemet is hiding behind, but these bushes are apparently enough to hide a truck this big. Unfortunately, it's not hiding very well, or they're just lucky with the BM-27 that's firing from there. And they might still be able to get this thing if a cluster munition goes off right next to it. Fortunately, that thing survives, but only barely. Over here on the right, it seems that they're trying each other's lines every now and then. They're seeing how much resistance there is. And Oak is bringing in a CEV. Combat Engineer's vehicle does a ton of damage, 8 HE power, and has a very, very good range. They don't exactly do a lot of damage to tanks, as you can see here. It hit the Type 63 almost flat on, but it did not do a ton of damage. It did turn the unit into shaken and now panicked. But if they were to fire the CEV at the Concourse over here, those things would be gone instantly. Another round from the CEV. One more should finish it off. Whereas one tank would have needed probably one round to kill this Type 63. So that's the difference. It is not actually a tank. It's a engineer's gun or a big... I suppose you should class this as a howitzer, not a main gun. Mounted on a... I believe this is a Patton chassis, but I'm not entirely 100% on that. Right flank, still seeing a lot of heavy fighting. It seems that in the meanwhile the M1A1 got taken down as well as the supply truck, because I'm not seeing that one anymore. This one is a new one, and the M1A1 just completely vanished. The Twardy is still operating here, still being very, very deadly, and it seems that Bluefor does not have that many infantry units left here. They had a nice line of small setup here, but it was not that great, in the sense that they are very easily disposed of. You only need a couple of vehicles to take down those smalls before they can fire at you. Now, as the game is developing right now, it seems that Redfor is going to lose, unless they pull some sort of trick out of their hat and get a kill on this command infantry, at which point, or actually, if they manage to neutralize any of the other zones that Bluefor has, then they can make sure that they neutralize this advantage. Otherwise, it is just going to keep ticking and ticking and ticking, and they are literally ticking the game away, these counters. Trying to fire cluster munitions again in hopes of finding anything here, but this forest is desolated, there's nothing in there. Still, it would probably be pretty spooky if you were the command infantry in here, looking overhead and seeing a lot of cluster munitions come down on the forest right next to you. Try to keep your cool in a situation like that. They're pushing up with some Hebjungs. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe they're trying to clear this forest. Maybe they're trying to kill the Twardy over here. But the Twardy is not that easily dealt with, and it seems that they now have seen at least one group of Hebjungs. Hebjung firing, hit the Twardy flat on, got a good hit on them, but now they're stunned. I don't think they're going to get another shot. And this Twardy is running. It's not even trying to keep the main armor on the front side towards the enemy. They're just trying to get the hell away from those Hebjungs before they eat that Twardy alive. Legion 90s are pushing back. I think that this was Redfor's smokescreen. No, actually it's Bluefor's smokescreen, it seems. These LAVs are putting up a smokescreen / artillery. And this is going to be one big clash of infantry versus legions. And legions are, well, not by definition going to win that, but have a very, very good shot of winning it. Moderna engaging the riflemen with both the main gun and the autocannon. You can see just how lethal that thing is to infantry. And Redfor is engaging this area with a mortar, just one though, a 130 gun. Doing some damage to the Chumats, but not killing them. And Bluefor is engaging this position where the legions are with the mortars that they have left. They do need a resupply, so a Hammett comes in, gives them some more shells in a, I'm not going to say desperate attempt, but definitely a rushed attempt to try and hold this zone. And now Redfor is spamming MI4s. These are very cheap choppers, 40 points. You do need 1 or 2 missiles per helicopter, so they are effective in that way. And they just fire rocket pods. That's all they do, but they fire 80 rockets, which is extremely capable of dealing with infantry, vehicles, and even in large numbers a tank, as you've seen before. Now this just neutralized the advantage that Bluefor had. They are now sitting at a +0, so they've been neutralized that far. Now let's see if they can fix that. I'm not seeing any mobile CVs coming in. It does seem that they're trying to force these guys out. They're bringing in some more AA. Closed arrows. 75 MSRs are MLRS. Some Avengers over here. And a KF-16 Block 52D is going to try and get some kills on anti-air units. But again, Redfor has nothing over here that's radar guided. What they do have is a backup CV here. So if Bluefor manages to take down this CV, they still have a good chance of bringing in the CV and replacing it rather quickly before the game is over. Unfortunately, a lot of Austrians or Oak's LAVs got taken down. 1 survived. And Bluefor just got completely pushed out of this zone by Redfor's offensive. A couple of Nanion Shikis took down this tank. Actually, not Nanion Shikis, that was probably the Avenger, seeing as the other units are not in range yet. And here comes the MLRS, trying to get a kill on that vehicle, this command unit that's in here. Let's see if it hits anything. See, this is why I don't really like MLRS, they're too unpredictable. I want my artillery to hit exactly where I point it, and they did manage to get it, but that I think was more down to luck than the accuracy of that MLRS unit. They did manage to get another +2, and as I had expected, this CV is now trying to get into this position as soon as possible, as Redfor is setting up a firing line here, covering that CV. These MLRS are going to have to be resupplied. Let's see where they go. Here they are. They've been evac'd slightly. New LAVs coming in, and I'm thinking that he's going to push these guys just back to the farm and resupply from there. KF-16 again coming in, seed plane, and the F1 is going to go after some targets here. Trying to take down the Zanshi. Took down 29 and left 1 survivor to tell the tale. Over here on the left, Bluefor captured this area, so they also have this one going for them, whereas Redfor are still suffering a +1 on the behalf of Bluefor. But they did manage to get that CV back in. Now it seems that over here on the left flank nobody's pushing. Redfor is just holding, trying to force a breakthrough into this right flank. FuturePro nor Oak are forcing their way through here, so they're just holding, even as these regions are probably a lot weaker than expected. These Concours are out of ammo. They cannot engage any vehicle. The only vehicle that can actually engage other units is the ZTZ-85-2 here. And they got a Strop, which is out of ammo. It only has 1 missile left and the main gun. And over here they do have some stuff. This would be a more difficult area to push into. But they do have their command infantry out of cover, so they are getting more likely to get spotted. But it seems that Redfor cannot do anything to negate this +1 advantage that Bluefor has gained. And with that, that is probably the end for Redfor. So it seems that Future and Oak just beat one of the top players of Wargame Red Dragon. Congratulations guys, extremely well done. Thank you very much for sending me this replay, because I really enjoyed watching it. You don't get to see battles like this, which are this well coordinated and this well orchestrated that often, so I really appreciate it. Navy SEALs here are engaging Commandosis, not using their grenade launcher yet because it's not in range. And Redfor is now engaging this area with cluster munitions, possibly hoping to get a shot at the CV, which might be hiding here, but it's command infantry, so completely insusceptible or unaffected by the cluster munitions. And the Kiyomaru Shiki tank was not hit either, nor was the 75 MSS Arm MLRS. And they're going to try to fire again at this location, possibly hoping to get that other CV. But I don't think that those missiles are going to hit in time for anything to make a difference here. F1 by FuturePro were extremely effective this round. They did a lot of damage. But let's see what the scores are. FuturePro did 2600 points of damage, lost 1800. Oak also got a positive ratio here. I suppose that you could say that the person who lost the most here is Kiki. He lost 1420, or he got 1425 kills, lost 2355, so 700 points more. 900 points more. But still, I think that this was a very, very good game. Now, unfortunately, with replays, you don't usually get the kill list. For some reason, you do get some experience acquired, but that's of course not that interesting to watch. Again, thank you very much for sending in this replay. If you have a replay that you would like me to have a look at, send it to me through the link in the description down below. I do enjoy these games, and I hope you did too. If you did, please hit that like button to show both FuturePro, Austrian Oak, Pinpin on Chef, Kiki Jizuya and me that you liked watching this gameplay and that you'd like to see more. Again guys, congratulations on a good game. I enjoyed watching it and I hope to see more of it. Thanks for watching, see you next time.